Wife's ex-BF shows up at my house, out of blue and now wants to co-parent the kid he left 6 YRs. The doorbell rang like a gunshot in the dead of night, shattering the quiet of our suburban home. I froze, fork halfway to my mouth, as my wife, Sarah, exchanged a glance with our 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who was blissfully unaware, smearing mashed potatoes across her plate. It was 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Who the hell shows up unannounced at this hour? I opened the door to a ghost from Sarah's past. Ethan, her ex-boyfriend, standing there with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, his eyes bloodshot and his jaw set like he'd rehearsed this moment for years. 6 years to be exact, the same amount of time since he'd vanished, leaving Sarah pregnant and alone. Now, here he was, claiming he wanted to make things right and co-parent Lily, the daughter he'd never met. My stomach churned, not just from anger but from the audacity of this man who thought he could waltz back into our lives and rewrite history. Sarah and I had built a life together, a sturdy one, with a modest house, a vegetable garden, and a routine that revolved around Lily's soccer games and bedtime stories. I'd been there for every fever, every scraped knee, every moment Ethan wasn't. I wasn't Lily's biological father, but I was her dad in every way that mattered. Sarah, with her quiet strength and warm smile, had chosen me, and we'd forged a family from the ashes of her heartbreak. But Ethan's sudden return threatened to unravel everything, like a loose thread pulled too hard. Ethan stood on our porch, his leather jacket worn thin at the elbows, his voice low but insistent. "I've changed, man," he said, looking past me to where Sarah stood in the hallway, her arms crossed, her face a mask of disbelief. I was young, stupid. I freaked out when she told me she was pregnant. But I'm here now, and I want to know my daughter. His words were earnest, but they felt like a blade, slicing through the life we'd built. Lily peeked out from behind Sarah, her brown eyes wide and curious, unaware of the storm brewing. Sarah's voice was ice when she finally spoke. "You don't get to just show up after 6 years. Ethan, you don't get to decide you're a father now." Her hands trembled, betraying the calm she was trying to project. I wanted to slam the door, to protect her from this man who'd already hurt her once. But something in Ethan's eyes, desperation, maybe regret, made me hesitate. What if he was telling the truth? What if he had changed? Over the next few days, Ethan lingered like a shadow. He rented a motel room nearby and kept texting Sarah, asking for a chance to meet Lily. I watched my wife wrestle with the decision, her nights sleepless, her eyes red from crying. She didn't owe him anything, but she couldn't shake the guilt of denying Lily a chance to know her biological father. "What if she hates me later for keeping him away?" she whispered one night, her head resting on my chest. I didn't have an answer, only a growing knot in my gut. Lily, oblivious to the tension, kept asking questions. "Who's that man?" "Daddy," she'd say, tugging at my sleeve. I'd force a smile and change the subject, but her innocence gnawed at me. She deserved a truth we weren't ready to give her. Meanwhile, Ethan was relentless, showing up at the park where Lily played, watching from a distance. He never approached, but his presence was a constant reminder that our family was no longer just ours. One evening, Sarah agreed to meet Ethan at a coffee shop to talk. I stayed home with Lily, reading her favorite book about a brave little fox, but my mind was elsewhere. When Sarah returned, her face was pale, her voice barely above a whisper. "He says he's sober now," she told me. "He's been in therapy, got a job as a mechanic. He wants to be part of her life, not take her away." I wanted to believe it was that simple, but trust doesn't come cheap when someone's already burned you. The turning point came a week later. Ethan asked to meet Lily, just for a few minutes, in a neutral place. Sarah and I debated for hours, weighing the risks against the what-ifs. What if Lily needed him someday? What if he disappeared again? In the end, we agreed to a supervised meeting at the local library, a place Lily loved. I sat on a bench, my fists clenched, as Ethan knelt in front of her, offering a shy smile and a picture book about dinosaurs. Lily, ever trusting, grinned back. flipping through the pages. Sarah stood nearby, her eyes darting between them, torn between fear and hope. Ethan was gentle, awkward even, but I saw something in him I hadn't expected: genuine care. He didn't push, didn't make promises he couldn't keep. He just sat there, listening as Lily rambled about her favorite T-Rex. For a moment, I saw what Sarah must have seen in him years ago: a man capable of love, buried under layers of mistakes. But that didn't erase the years he'd missed, the nights Sarah had cried alone, the moments I'd stepped up to be the father he wasn't. As weeks turned into months, Ethan became a cautious presence in our lives. We set strict boundaries, supervised visits, no overnight stays, no calling himself dad. Sarah and I agreed that Lily's heart was too precious to risk, but Ethan kept showing up, week after week, proving himself in small ways, bringing Lily a new soccer ball, remembering her favorite color, asking about her day. Slowly, Sarah's guard began to lower, not out of forgiveness, but out of pragmatism. "He's trying," she said one night. "Maybe that's enough for now." I struggled the most. Every time Ethan was around, I felt like an outsider in my own family. I'd watch him with Lily and wonder if I was being replaced, if the bond we'd built could withstand this new dynamic. One night, after Lily was asleep, I broke down. "I'm scared, Sarah," I admitted, my voice cracking. "I'm scared she'll love him more." Sarah took my hand, her eyes fierce with loyalty. "You're her father, Tom. Nothing changes that. Not Ethan. Not anyone." Her words anchored me, but the fear lingered. The real test came when Lily's 7th birthday approached. Ethan asked to help plan the party, offering to pay for a bounce house. Sarah and I exchanged uneasy glances but agreed, wanting to keep things civil for Lily's sake. The party was a success. Lily's laughter echoed through the backyard as she bounced with her friends. Ethan stayed on the sidelines, helping with the cake, watching her with a quiet pride that both angered and softened me. When Lily ran to me, throwing her arms around my neck and calling me daddy, I felt a weight lift. Ethan might be her father, but I was her home. Months later, we found a fragile balance. Ethan was a part of Lily's life, but not her center. He respected our rules, and we respected his effort. It wasn't perfect. There were still arguments, misunderstandings, moments when old wounds reopened. But we were learning to navigate this new reality, not for Ethan's sake, but for Lily's. She deserved to know her story, even the messy parts. One evening, as I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me with those big brown eyes and asked, "Is Ethan my dad too?" My heart stopped, but I took a deep breath. "He's your biological dad," I said carefully, "but I'm your dad in every way that counts. And we both love you." She nodded, satisfied for now, and drifted off to sleep. I sat there, watching her, wondering if we'd made the right choice. Ethan's return forced us to confront questions we'd never wanted to face. Was it fair to keep him out when he was trying to make amends? Was it fair to Lily to let him in? There were no easy answers, only the messy truth of human relationships. Sarah and I had to decide what family meant, not just for us, but for the little girl who trusted us to get it right. What do you think? Should we have given Ethan a chance to co-parent, or were we right to protect our family first? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear where you stand on this.